Welcome, beloved weaver. This is Shanti Panda, and today we're going underground. Not into the shadowy corners of your psyche, but into the soil, into the roots, into the quiet, humming intelligence of the forest. This episode is called How to Think Like a Forest. Not how to hug a forest, not how to save a forest, but how to think like one. Because the way you've been taught to think, that lonely, hyper-competitive, stand taller than everyone else way, that's tree thinking. And today, we're switching to forest thinking. Let me begin with a question. What in you needs to die and become soil? Hold that somewhere in your mind. We'll come back to it. Now, a Douglas fir was dying, root rot, 40 years old, in tree time still an adolescent. Like a human at 28, just figuring out who they are. Foresters walked through a grove in the Pacific Northwest. They saw browning needles, a weakening trunk. They marked the tree with orange paint, scheduled for cutting. 3 months later, they came back with chainsaws. They stopped. The fir was thriving. Green crown, strong bark, new growth bursting from its branches, impossibly, undeniably, alive. Puzzled, they put the chainsaws down, dug into the soil, and followed the roots. What they found was this. The surrounding cedars and hemlocks, different species, technically competitors, had rerouted their nutrients. They were sending sugar, nitrogen, water through the underground fungal network. Mycelium, a living web of care. A mycelial highway of support kept the fir alive through its crisis. The forest in its own language said, "Not yet. You're still needed." This is not a metaphor. This is measured, documented reality. Ecologist Suzanne Simard has spent decades proving it. Trees don't just stand next to each other, they communicate, they cooperate, they share. The forest thinks, and it thinks very differently than you do. You and I, we were trained to think like individual trees, stand alone, compete for light. Grow taller than your neighbor. Winner takes all. Your algorithms reward this. Your feeds are full of trees showing off their height. Your culture worships verticality, higher title, higher tower, higher follower count. But forests don't work that way. In a forest, every tree is wired into an invisible internet. Mycelium, fungal threads finer than a human hair, link roots into one vast organism. One tree makes more sugar than it needs. It shares. Another tree is starving for nitrogen. It receives. They are not individuals politely tolerating proximity. They are one living network with many bodies. Now, your translation. Your stress affects your partner. Not poetically, physiologically. Your nervous system dysregulates theirs. Mirror neurons fire. Cortisol becomes contagious. Your calm helps your coworker. When you slow your breath, your electromagnetic field shifts. People feel it before they have words for it. You have always been a forest. You have always been threaded through with invisible connections, breath to breath, emotion to emotion, story to story. You leak into each other all the time. The question isn't whether you affect your ecosystem. The question is, are you doing it consciously? I've watched this in my own life. On anxious mornings, the whole house feels tight. On mornings when I sit in stillness first, even the cat seems more relaxed. We are porous beings. We are not skyscrapers. We are root systems. Trees could hoard resources. Roots could strangle each other. But the forest discovered something across deep time. Monocultures collapse. A forest of only Douglas firs? One beetle, one blight, one drought. Game over. A forest of firs, cedars, hemlocks, maples, alders? Resilience. Different root depths, different strengths, different resistances, different nutrient gifts. Diversity isn't charity, it's survival insurance. So the forest shares, not because it's nice, because it's smart. Keep the ecosystem thriving, and everyone inside that ecosystem has a better chance. Now, your translation. That contact you're hoarding, that technique you won't teach, that competitive advantage you're guarding, you're building a monoculture of one. The first real disruption, AI shift, recession, burnout, illness, a bad quarter, and snap. The rising tide lifts all boats, but only if your boat is actually in the water. When I began teaching breathwork, I gave away everything. The protocols, the structures, the secret methods. People warned me, someone will steal your IP. Good. Let them. The more people breathing consciously, the stronger the field we all live in. My abundance doesn't come from hoarding. It comes from being a well-wired node in a thriving mycelial network. The forest taught me that. In any long-lived forest, you'll find mother trees, ancient giants, deep roots, wide crowns. Researchers discovered something wild. Mother trees send up to 40% more nutrients to saplings than to their peers. And not just to their own children, to saplings of other species too. Why? Because the saplings are the future. If they die, the forest dies. The mother tree may live another 100 years, but for what, if there's no one to receive the legacy? Mentorship isn't charity, it's ecosystem maintenance. Now, your translation. If you're listening to something like this, you are probably a mother tree somewhere in your life. You've survived things someone else is drowning in right now. You've gathered decades of root depth, even if you don't yet see yourself as an elder. Feed the saplings, not for karma, not for branding, for the forest. Because when the next storm comes, and it will, you'll need those young, flexible saplings to bend where your old trunk might break. I think of the mentors who fed me when I was 23 and confused, trying to understand why reality felt like a hologram. They didn't gatekeep, they just gave. And now, every time I answer a question, share a practice, hand someone a tool that saved me, that's not generosity. That's my mycelial duty. Walk through an old-growth forest and really look. Everywhere you'll see fallen giants, trees that ruled the canopy for centuries, now lying on the forest floor, covered in moss, sprouting tiny new trees. These are nurse logs. The dead tree becomes literal infrastructure for new life. Its decomposing wood holds water. Its nutrients feed seedlings that couldn't survive in bare soil. Its fallen bulk lifts young trees closer to the light. In a forest, death isn't the end. It's redistribution. Now, your translation. That startup that died? Nurse log. That relationship that shattered? Nurse log. That identity you clung to for 10 years that finally cracked under its own weight? Compost. Let it rot. The richest soil is made from the most thorough decomposition. The forest doesn't cling to dead trees because of sunk cost. It thanks them and turns them into food. I've had at least 3 career deaths. Each time I thought, this is it, I'm done. Within 18 months, each death had become a nurse log for a life that couldn't have existed before. The failed PhD became the breath teaching. The burnout job became the writing. The dissolved partnership became clarity. Kintsugi is not just for pottery. It's for identities. The breaks are where the gold goes. Right now, in this moment, you're still thinking like a tree. I can feel it. You're asking, how do I grow taller? How do I get more light? How do I win? Tree questions. But you, beloved, are not a tree. You are a forest. You are a mycelium dressed up as a human. A node in a network so vast you can't see its edges. So here is the real question. What does my ecosystem need from me now? Maybe it's sharing a resource you're hoarding, feeding a sapling with your experience, becoming a nurse log and letting an old identity die. The forest isn't asking you to be selfless. It's asking you to notice that your self already extends far beyond your skin. Your thriving is inseparable from your ecosystem's thriving. When you feed the forest, you feed yourself. Let's make this real. If you can, pause what you're doing and join me. If you're driving or moving, just stay aware and adapt as needed. Safety first, always. Ready? Close your eyes if it's safe to do so. Take a slow breath in and out. Now, imagine yourself as a tree in a forest. Not a special tree, just your tree. Feel its roots, its trunk, its branches. We'll move through 4 layers. Ask yourself, who or what am I connected to right now? Where am I drawing nourishment? It might be people. It might be practices. Your coffee ritual, your evening walk, that book on your nightstand. It might be the earth itself. Just notice, where are your roots drinking from today? Ask yourself, who or what am I connected to right now? Where am I drawing nourishment? It might be people. It might be practices. Your coffee ritual, your evening walk, that book on your nightstand. It might be the earth itself. Just notice, where are your roots drinking from today? Now ask, what am I processing? What's moving through me right now? Anxiety? Excitement? Grief? Information overload? The trunk turns raw input into growth. What are you metabolizing at this moment? Next, what am I offering? Who receives my shade, my oxygen, my fruit today? Your partner, your kids, your co-workers, your readers. A stranger who will feel better simply because you smiled first. You are always giving something into the ecosystem. What is it today? Finally, what needs to die and become soil? An old story about who you are, a resentment, a draining project, a habit that no longer fits the person you're becoming. See it, name it, gently let it fall to the forest floor. It doesn't vanish. It composts. Now ask the key question, what is one small action I can take today that serves the forest, not just my tree. Not a grand gesture, not a sacrifice. One mycelial move, one nutrient shared, one sapling fed. Hold that action in your mind. Commit to it. Take one more breath, in and out. And when you're ready, return to the room. You're the shattered moon and the luminous ring. You're the fallen tree and the nurse log. You are the end of old stories and the beginning of new growth. But only if you let the forest hold you. Only if you stay connected to the mycelium, to community, to practice, to the quiet intelligence under everything. Because here's the secret the forest keeps whispering. We do not abandon our members. We reroute. We share. We say, not yet. You're still needed. Even when you feel like a rotting trunk at 28, or 45, or 72, quite sure you're done. Some cedar in your life is already sending sugar your way. You just have to allow it in. The Douglas fir did not save itself. Willpower didn't fix its roots. Positive thinking didn't clear the infection. Productivity hacks did not resurrect that tree. The forest did. Because forests don't optimize for individual glory. They optimize for collective survival. And here is the gift. When you stop trying to be the tallest tree, when you share instead of hoard, feed saplings instead of competing with them, and let your dead stories turn into soil, you don't just help the forest helps you. Nutrients flow both ways, they always have. Even if you can't see the roots yet, even if you've been standing alone so long, you forgot what connection feels like. The mycelium is already reaching toward you. All you have to do is reach back. So we end with this question. Not as homework, not as morality, just as a quiet invitation. What will you give to the forest today? Not to earn worthiness, not to be a good person, not to fix the world, just what is one nutrient, one connection, one act of quiet care you can send through your roots into the network that holds you? The cedars don't wait for applause. They just send the sugar. Be the cedar. Thank you for walking in the forest with me today, beloved weaver. Until next time, stay rooted, stay connected, and remember, you are not just in the forest. You are the forest.